everybody out there, you're tuned in to 91.8 The Fan. You're in my corner, and I have a returning guest in the corner. Would you like to unveil your secret identity?
I am Christopher Sabat. No, I'm Patrick Seitz.
I was about to be like, that doesn't sound like him. Did I get the wrong guest today? Somebody gave me the wrong memo. Chris! It's all his fault. But no, there's actually a story that I have been trying to tell you for almost a year now, which is kind of sad. But you were at Anime Vegas last year, and I was looking everywhere for you. And there was a panel where Julie Ray Goldstein and I believe Kyle Aberry were on it.
Mhm.
And me and my friend were a little late to the panel because we were filming something else or doing an interview or something. And we get into this room, and I'm like, oh, where's Patrick? I wanted to introduce myself face to face, so I'm not like this floating, mysterious voice. And my friend next to me, she's known as Sarah Lane on the website, she's like, I don't know. I'm like, should we go sit over there? And then 15 minutes later, she tells me, I think Patrick was next to me because when you said his name, he looked up from his phone. I was like, why didn't you tell me?
You're like, thanks for that.
I won't let her live. I won't let her live it down. Like because I really like to just put a face to the voice.
I like that she thought of it after the fact. Like, it was weird because when I said Patrick Seitz, this one random dude looked up, so that was probably him.
Yeah. Thanks a lot, Sarah.
Feel the love, Sarah. Feel the love.
But actually, it seemed like you were a little bit possibly under the weather at that convention. I could be wrong. It was last November, so.
I'm trying to remember. I might have been. It seems like running myself ragged is sort of the new, my new style. It's kind of my thing now.
But that's what makes it so fun, the adventure while wearing some sort of gas mask.
It's kind of what I do. Oh, also, what it comes up a lot is when I'm at the conventions, I'll be working on a script while I'm there. So it might have been the, oh my God, working on a script. Maybe I didn't sleep look. It might have been that look.
That's quite possible. I just know that big convention, there was a huge focus on Hellsing because the entire cast was there.
Yes, Hellsing. Oh, 1 through 4 are getting re-released in October.
Ooh, you must be very excited.
I am very excited about that. Oh, Hellsing.
And it's not the sparkly vampires, so you can have a little bit of pride in it.
Exactly.
It's funny now. It seems like since that Anime Vegas, any sort of media that I digest, whether it's video games or anime or what have you, I always find you. You're everywhere now.
I've been exceedingly lucky. It's been a good 2 or 3 years. I mean, any year where I can do this and make this be my living is a good year. But it's been between the voiceover work and the script adapting and a little bit of game directing here and there. I have been exceedingly fortunate. There's that part of me that's waiting for the other shoe to drop, and the boils and the locusts and the various and sundry Old Testament afflictions to come raining down on me. But in the meantime, things are good.
I would hope so, because we don't want any sort of bad implications on your voice. And
No.
if not, we have a Chinese remedy for it, so. But one thing that I know that the fans are really excited about, and I know that Chris has been probably bugging you about a lot, has been your role as Frankie on the One Piece series. I believe we're finally getting to see that on DVD releases.
Yes. Oh, Frankie. That started many moons ago. It was early on when I first started doing any work for Funimation. I was actually talking to Mike McFarland about it recently, trying to remember what it was that I was down for. Because I was down there working. I think it was when he had me in on this one-off character in Mushishi, and they had the One Piece copy coming through, and he said, "Hey, do you want to read for this character? It's for a game." He doesn't show up in the series for a while, but they gotta cast him now for the game, and they're gonna send the auditions back to Japan and get the thumbs up from the creators. And if you get it, you have to basically come right back out here because the game is recording right away. And I'm like, sure, yeah, okay, thank you. Read for it, did my stuff Funimation, went home, got the call from him like the next day, I think, that I'd gotten in. So a couple days later, I was back in Texas recording it. But I spent, an afternoon recording Frankie for the game, and then 5 years passed, uh, during which I was just waiting for them to get to Frankie in the series. And not counting on it, because I mean, stuff happens, stuff comes up, and I don't like counting my chickens before they hatch. And this egg was very long in the hatching. So I really didn't count on it, quote unquote. But then when they finally came to it, and he's like, "Yeah, we're gonna have you," and I'm like, "Woo, good times." He is such a fun character. I mean, I think he sort of embodies my anime career. Yeah, I'm blue pompadour, Popeye arms. He's a cyborg. He wears a speedo. He's got the Hawaiian shirt. I mean, he is sort of the ideal of everything I strive for in my anime career. He's so cool. Oh.
Well, maybe you should emulate our producer and get a tattoo of him on your arm.
Well, I'd have to get two tattoos, and then I'd have to hold my arms together to make basically the same shape as the tattoos with the tattoos together. I don't know. Stars have been done. Like I'd have to walk around, people like, "Oh, you've got star tattoos. How original?" I'd be like, "No, it's for One Piece," and they'd be like, "What's a One Piece?" That's just too much work. I'll take like red fruit roll ups and cut out a star pattern and slap it on my arm someday if I'm really feeling like I need to have stars on my arm. And at the end of the day, I can take it off.
Well, that's for cosplay. There's your cosplay idea right there.
I don't exactly have the Frankie shape. I've seen some people cosplay Frankie, and I'm like, you brave bastards. Good on you.
Well, it was funny researching this character because what Chris told me is that he's in a speedo and he's super. And when I think of super, I think I'm super. Thanks for asking. So
it's a very different kind of super. But
yes, I found that out the hard way. But now I have to wonder, in comparison to voicing it for the game and voicing it for the anime, did you learn more about the character via the game or via the show?
Definitely the show. I mean, for game recording, it's very, I don't want to say disjointed because that sounds so pejorative, but just the nature of the beast. You're recording a couple lines in this cutscene, and then you're recording a couple lines in this cutscene that's happening way further into the game, and they're doing stuff for this cutscene, and then these lines that you're recording are to cover all possible bases as far as what you're doing. So here are your attacks, and here's if you're doing your strong right attack, which got spammed many times playing the game. So I hear strong right over and over again. I mean, a lot of times just to cover all the possible things that you could be doing as the character, you're just taking disconnected lines on a page, doing 2 or 3 takes of each onto the next, 2 or 3 takes of each onto the next, and there's really not that chronological flow that you get from working on something in show form. And that again, I think that was like 4 or 5 or 6 hours that I put into the game. So as soon as I came out to record on Frankie that first time for the show, I'd already, after that first day, I have now spent as much time recording him for the show as I had for the game. So it's definitely easier to get to know characters in a series setting, if that's a choice. I mean, if something's a game, you make do. The director and the producers tell you what you need to know, and you go from there. But definitely get to spend more time with a character on a show, and because it is One Piece and it is never ending, I know that I'll be spending lots of time with Frankie.
And there might be a ton of other video games.
I would like that. I know they've had some games that came out that never made it stateside that looked fun. I hope more of those come over because, I mean, not only am I an actor and I like to work, but the other one, the one that came out years back, was fun. So I would like to play more One Piece fun.
Well, franchises are always good for that. So here's hoping.
Mm-hmm.
And the fan base seems actually, to me, in the US, it seems like it gets bigger and bigger versus, oh, it keeps going and going, so maybe I should kind of duck out now that we're like, 300, 400, 500 episodes in.
Yeah, I mean, One Piece, it sort of almost dares you to lose interest because it's so vibrant and so filled with energy, and the characters you meet are so zany. There's there don't seem to be any rules. There's no one telling you no. There's no one saying no. That's too far fetched, or that couldn't happen, or why would we do that? I mean, it just keeps chugging along, keeps being fun, and it's a show about pirates. I mean, it's already just right out of the starting gate. Um, it's got that in its corner helping out. I mean, pirates are awesome, and when they're pirates that are like the Straw Hat Crew, that's even more awesome.
Definitely. And I know another show that I have to ask about, or else the fans will get very upset at me, is there's a show that we've all been waiting here on 91.8 The Fan to get a dub, and that is Tiger and Bunny. And you play a specific role in that show.
Yes, I play Sky High, and I'm very, very thankful to play him. That is another awesome show. When the auditions for that uh, came down the pike, I went on to, I forget if it was on Hulu or Hulu Plus, where they had the whole show. Viz had put up the subs, and I watched it just to get a sense of what it was about and who these characters were. And I probably could have gotten away with watching a portion of it, um, for the purposes of the audition. But suddenly, when the dust cleared, I'd watched the whole damn thing. Um, I really hope that one. I really hope that one does well. I mean, I think it will. You never quite can tell until it's out and see what people's reaction is, but um, it's a good show. It's a really good show.
I have been attracted to this show since, they were advertising it, and I've been waiting for the dub, so I'm very excited. I haven't seen any of it yet, so I'm still just waiting a little bit longer.
We had a panel at Anime Expo for it that was very well attended, and people seemed very excited. So, and people had crazy, amazing cosplay. Like I was amazed. And then I ran into a Sky High cosplayer randomly over the course of the weekend. Not at the panel, just like out and about, going outside, ready to leave, and they're sitting there. I think, sort of, taking a breather, ready to leave themselves, and I freaked out because it was my character. That's kind of how we are sometimes. And by we, I mean me. Like if someone's cosplaying my character, I get a little zany.
Oh, can I have a picture? Can I have 25?
I keep it to like one. I keep it to one. Um, Sometimes I don't tell them that like, oh, that's my character, because I don't want them to be like, yeah, right, that's your character. Sure it is, buddy. Sure it is. Um, but yeah, I definitely got a picture.
Well, I've seen some really good Tiger and Bunny cosplayers, and those superhero outfits look really difficult to craft.
Yeah, no kidding. I mean, it would all be difficult for me to craft. I mean, even the really simple stuff would be out of my league. That's not where my talents lie. But yeah, I know what you mean. The power suits were nuts.
Like, I used to sew my outfits, but I can't work with props or whatever. That is ridiculous. And people who do that, you deserve a medal because that is hard.
It's kind of like voodoo.
I just assumed that they're wizards, and that's how they do it.
And then I could ask them like, "Are you a wizard?" And they'd be like, "You're not that guy from the picture on the internet." I'd be like, "Oh,
I think they look at you just a little bit weird.
maybe," but you get used to it.
Yeah. Well, some other projects that I believe was recently announced about I believe it was a week ago, was the dubcast for the Mass Effect film, which is
Yes.
I hear is a very huge deal at Funimation.
Yes, 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 yes. With the original animation, which is an interesting and fun and new departure, sort of like the Dragon Age movie, where they actually team up and make something fresh, um, which is exciting. And I played the Mass Effect game, so getting to be a part of that universe was gratifying.
Definitely. And your character, even though he doesn't have like a huge role, and for instance, I don't know about the third game, sorry, haven't played that one yet, but he's still like a really vital character to the whole series. He's got a really prominent role as to why things happened, in my opinion.
Definitely.
And for those of you who don't know the character, it is Captain David Anderson.
Yes.
But we're really excited about that. I believe that that's coming out in December. Last I
Yeah,
knew.
I think it's like December 28th or thereabout. It's late December if I'm not wrong.
So when you guys, when you open your Christmas presents and you get all that money, you can go get the film.
I like that.
Well, that isn't that why they do that? They make sure that they put stuff after Christmas so the kids can spend their Christmas money on it.
That makes sense. Yeah. See, this is why I'm not in marketing. I'm like, oh wait, you're right. That is why they're doing that. I should have known. But yeah, no, that does make sense. Yes, take your holiday money and buy you some anime.
Well, now, obviously, you probably can't talk too much about it, but as a fan of the game, how do you think other fans will respond to the film?
Hopefully, well, it's always hard to tell when you're basing something off of something pre-existing. Um, because there are always going to be some people who are like, "Hey, I want to keep it, with what I already know. I don't like things adding on to or sort of departing from what I've already experienced." I mean, they're dealing with Vega's backstory, which is alluded to in the third game, but this is an opportunity to actually see what happened as it goes down. So I think a lot of it's going to be based on how people feel about the character Vega. And I know, again, that's one where some people really dug him, other people not so much. If you really dug him, I think you'll be interested in finding out why he acts the way he does in 3. If you didn't really feel one way or the other about him, maybe that won't be as compelling of a draw.
You know, these sort of projects are always really interesting to me because I've always heard, and I kind of agree with it, that almost all anime fans will be gaming fans, but not all gamers will necessarily be anime fans.
Mm-hmm.
So it's to me, it's interesting to think that maybe some of the gamers who liked Mass Effect, will want to pick this up and watch this and consume the media and be like, "Are there other things like this? Let me go find those too."
Yeah, yeah. I mean that would be great if they could pull some non-anime following gamers over to the anime side of the equation. Definitely.
And so, for anybody out there, remember December 28th, holiday money, or you can just bug your parents to pre order, but I don't know many parents who pre order on Christmas.
Mm-hmm.
My parents didn't. I couldn't get away with that. That didn't work for me. But since we're talking about video games, I know a series that you've been a part of for a while recently had its latest edition come out. So you get to be the big fat lovable Bob again.
Indeed.
I was explaining this character earlier to some of the staff members because Bob seems to me sometimes like such a departure from some of your other characters, but
Mhm.
he's so silly and how serious he is.
Well, and he's fast too. I've seen. I'm not particularly good at Tekken myself, but I've seen people use Bob, and you get used to the fighting games. Oh, there's the big dude, the big strong dude. He's not going to move too fast because that's the trade off.
Hmm.
If he hits you, you're in trouble, but he's not going to be able to get to you. Um, Bob moves pretty fast for a big dude. I mean, he's definitely got some agility to him. And that's a lot of fun. I like the idea of any character who's like, all right, I'm kicking lots of butt, but I'm just not big enough. So I'm going to go on the, 10,000 calorie a day diet until I'm big enough to fight people properly. I like that. I admire anyone who lets their health go to pot for the sake of their fighting prowess. So
Well,
good on you, Bob. Good on you.
well, he fooled me in Tekken 6 because somebody picked him. I can't remember if it was randomly or what. And like I was expecting somebody slow and I was, the robot girl. I was Alyssa, so I was like, okay, this will be easy. And the dude just comes out of nowhere and is like doing left punch, right punch, and I'm already on the floor and I'm like, what's going on?
Yeah, no, Bob doesn't mess. Bob's got places to be. Bob has cheeseburgers with his name on them that need to be eaten. He's got no time to fool around with the fighting.
Well, if he fights too much, he loses all of his weight, remember?
I'd like to think he's got like protein bars in his pockets or something.
And they're gonna melt if you don't finish the fight fast enough.
Exactly, exactly. He's like, I got to wrap this up. I need to eat. It's been a good 15 minutes since my last meal.
But now the interesting thing with fighting franchises like this is that you get to see weird mixtures like Street Fighter cross Tekken and in interesting like situations you wouldn't necessarily think those characters could be in. So is it cool for you to see those characters experience different situations like that?
Yeah, I like. I mean, I think anytime because the fighting games will have nice varied eclectic rosters. And then if you can take that nice, very eclectic roster and sort of mush it up against a different franchise's eclectic, varied roster, I think it's all to the good. I think it leaves you more combinations, more choices, more situations of having to figure out how you're going to, deal with a various opponent's moves and fighting style. So I think it benefits. I mean, it benefits the actors definitely. It benefits the fighting game fans because it keeps things from getting boring. Because eventually, if you're really into it, you're going to figure out a way to counteract however many characters are in this particular edition of this particular franchise. If you suddenly go, hey, let's have a party and invite Street Fighter and Tekken, that's sort of unusual. Um, I haven't played much of it yet, but I do know that even from franchise to franchise, they have slightly different playing styles. And I think that's cool. Everyone's covered. However you want to play, there's somebody for you.
And what's nice about the fighting community is certain games don't necessarily get less popular. Like you'll still have people online and sure they can kick your butt into yesterday, but you get somebody to play with at least.
Yeah, yeah.
Now, does the largeness of the fighting community ever sort of surprise you? Because I think a lot of people who are kind of outside looking in, they don't realize that there's such a core audience that does all these tournaments and things like that.
It. I don't think it surprises me now. I think when I first found out that there was such an active community, I was like, "Whoa, who knew?" Um, but I guess it makes sense because it's something that you can play and you can, if you want to get good, you can put that time into it. Um, and once you get good, it's just based on you perfecting what you're doing against people. It's not like playing an RPG where you're like, oh my god, I'm playing 100 hours, and you've got that sense of community too. You know what I mean? You're gonna make friends. You're gonna have rivals. There's gonna be new people coming in. There's gonna be people leaving. So it seems it made after that initial surprise of like, whoa, people are really into the fighting games. Um, it makes sense.
Definitely, and I know a lot of our listeners love the fighting games. Actually, there's a show after mine where the guy raves for hours about fighting games, so I'm sure he'll really like this interview.
Nice.
But I'm curious, are there any other projects that, have recently come out that you want the listeners to know about, or anything that is coming down the pipeline that you can talk about?
Yes, I would like to mention Dead Man Wonderland is going to be coming out. I don't remember if it's DVD or DVD Blu-ray. I know Funimation does a lot of the combos now, which is cool. That's going to be coming out for anyone who enjoyed that when it was on TV, and also that is coming with a bonus episode, DVD only bonus episode, which I don't want to give anything away, but if you guys liked Senji, you really want to have access to that bonus episode. So drop some coin.
That
Um,
must have been really exciting to have a show on the new Toonami.
It was and people seemed really receptive. I mean, being the part of that very first block out of the gate, it was sort of hard to tell. People had agitated for it online and to get Toonami back, but there's always that moment of truth where you're like, okay, we're doing this thing. Let's see if everyone who was talking it up online, shows up and watches and supports. And as far as I've heard, it did really well, which I'm glad about.
Oh,
Um,
yay. I'm excited about that because I grew up on Toonami, so.
it's alive and well, and I'm thankful for it. No, it was a lot of fun. I would go over to my mom's house and watch it I don't have cable. She has cable, so I'd go over in the middle of the night, watch some Dead Man Wonderland, and flit away. Also fun because I did some of the writing on that. So even in the episodes where Senji wasn't around, it was gratifying to hear how the scripts turned out, and it's really gratifying to hear how my friends sound in the shows. I mean, I like getting to watch the shows even that I have nothing to do with because I'm like, hey, I know them and them and them and them and them, and it was written by this friend of mine and directed by this friend of mine, and these people are cool and they all sound great. So it it's definitely gratifying. And on something like that where I was involved, it's even more gratifying because I get to see how it all turned out. So Dead Man Wonderland, and then Steins Gate, I would highly recommend to people. It is an awesome, awesome, awesome show that will kind of break your head, but it's really worth it. And today, this very day, King of Thorn is finally coming out. A sort of psychological survival horror movie from Funimation that I got to adapt the script for, and I also got to be a member of the cast. I would highly recommend people to give that a look because that is some fun stuff. A little
Now,
dark. Well, a lot dark. It's way dark, but fun.
now, is that the sort of thing that'll make your head explode, like psychological dark stuff, or is it something you can get away with not feeling depressed by the end of every episode?
There, it's pretty head exploding. I mean, luckily, it's since it is a movie. I mean, you watch it all in one chunk. Your head explodes the one time, and then you find the pieces of your head and glue them back together.
Okay.
I really made that a tortured metaphor. I mean, it's not like a show where it's going to be punching you in the gut each time for 12 episodes, 24, 26 episodes. It's one singular experience. You watch it, you feel the feels, and you move on with your life.
Well, it sounds very interesting. So thank you for informing me about this because I had no idea about it.
I have been I have been waiting for this one for so long.
Oh, is it one of those projects you worked on like 2 years ago and you were like, I can't say anything?
It was a while. I've been sitting on this one for a while.
Well, we know why those NDAs are there, but sometimes we just don't like them.
Story of my life.
Well, are there any other projects that you can think of that you'd like the listeners to know about? Anything that you would like to get a little bit more recognition, maybe Redline or something along those lines?
Redline is awesome. I would love it if people watch some Redline. Redline voiced the Baron in Oblivion Island, which came out a little while ago. CG movie, very pretty. Mostly just thankful that people are watching and have any inkling of who I am in the first place.
Well, I want to say for the listeners out there, you better be listening to the station commonly because we have the Redline soundtrack and it sounds absolutely amazing. So if you don't like it, I'm going to go over there and punch you in the face. Just saying.
Nice.
Now, are there any other places where, fans can keep up to date on what you're doing? Do you Facebook? Do you Twitter? Do you social media swim? What do you do?
I have got a fan page on Facebook, and I tweet. I've gotten into the tweeting because people told me I had to, so I've started tweeting hither and thither. And I am slowly but surely in the process of making a fan site outside of Facebook that will be a little more community driven. I'll probably just pop in and sort of say howdy every now and then, but mostly be people talking about whatever they want to talk about. So that will eventually happen. It's happening. It's happening slowly. It's happening on geological time.
Well, now for the brave souls out there who want to stalk you and have better luck than I did at Anime Vegas, are there any other conventions that you have up coming up throughout the year?
Let's see. I have got what else is on my roster? As of right now, I think the only thing I have on my roster is Tsubasa-con coming up in, is that October? That is October. Con schedule's sort of winding down for the year, but I'm already in talks with some folks about next year and should have a pretty healthy spread of conventions on my plate.
Well, make sure to let us know, and we'll let the listeners know.
Awesome.
That way, they can look at you, from binoculars from across the street of your hotel room.
They can yell out my name, and I'll look up from my phone. It'll be great.
Now, is there anything else you'd like to tell the listeners out there? Any words of wisdom or any dating advice you want to share?
I guess in the style of like 80s and 90s, stand-up console arcade games, just that initial splash screen where it's like, don't do drugs. Yeah, don't do drugs. Winners don't do drugs. I don't know. Life advice, buy anime. And for those of you that are buying anime, thank you for buying anime. Because I realize that the less savory options are there and they're very easy. So thank you, folks, for spending the money and keeping us employed and doing it the right way.
For anyone who is not buying anime, shame on you, but we have an anime directory located in the forums where you can find all the legal places to watch anime. Just
exactly.
Saying. Yeah, so you should do that. Also, Sailor Moon says don't do drugs.
Oh, she's one to talk.
Oh, yeah, she was Too many moon rocks.